Moscow is the venue for the fourth round of the Blancpain Sprint Series. A spectacular city and hopefully some spectacular action. But before we get underway, let's look back at the last round in Zolder. At the start of the race, it was a good start from Laurens Vanthoor, but the second place Rinaldi Ferrari was sent spinning out of the race. A real shame for the 333 pairing of Marco Seefried and Norbert Siedler. Meanwhile, there was frantic action on the opening lap. The 73 Nissan being pushed over the curbs on the exit of the first chicane, but Vanthoor and Freins were away at the front, while Stefan Ortelli ran wide coming down into the Villeneuve chicane. Ortelli was continuing his mission, managing to pass the 55 Attempto Racing McLaren of Philip Vlasic. Meanwhile, battles were raging over fourth position. The Brazilian BMW pairing of Valdeno Brito and Attila Abreu losing out and then losing more time in the pit stops with a slow driver change. The 77 car came out behind their teammates in the 0 car. There was also a change as Nicky Meyer-Melnoff managed to get out just in front of the 83 HDP Bentley. Enzo Eid ended his race at turn 3 after taking over from Christopher Mies. And then there was an enthralling battle over 11th position. Anders Fjordbach losing out to the 54 Attempto Racing McLaren on the run down into turn 1. Fjordbach tried to stay with him, but it was the position for the McLaren. The bright yellow Mercedes of Bernd Schneider watching on as he won the Pro-Am class. But winning the Pro class was Laurens Vanthoor and Robin Freins. Another commanding performance from the WRT Audi pair, moving them 27 points clear at the top of the championship. Max Buch and Vincent Abril came across the line in second, and it was third and fourth home for the Brazilian BMWs. Delight for Vanthoor and Freins, the top step of the podium and the top of the championship. Now we're here in Moscow for round 4, and before the event got underway, there was a gathering of GT cars around the famous Red Square. The drivers are out in force, the fans out in force as well, ahead of a superb weekend of racing in Russia's capital. BMW Team Brazil are enjoying their best year in the championship so far. The 77 car has been on the podium in all but 1 races so far this season. Attila Abreu and his teammate Valdeno Brito will be hoping to repeat that success here in Moscow. In the 0 car, things haven't been quite as good for Cacabueno and Sergio Jimenez.
We have a constant good results for the team in both cars, so we are very happy, and we reach almost the podium 3 times. We finished 4th, so I believe now it will be our time.
Over at WRT, it wasn't a particularly strong weekend for Christopher Mies and Enzo Eid. In Zolder, Mies had the pace, but Enzo Eid spun the car into the gravel trap when he took over. But in the number 1 car, it was a different story. Robin Freins and Laurens Vanthoor have won every race that they've entered so far this season, save for Nogaro, where they crashed out in qualifying. And Vanthoor's hoping for more of the same this weekend.
Well, obviously we're here to continue our winning streak. But in the end, the goal for myself, Robin, and the team and Audi is to win the championship. And in order to do that, you have to score points every race. So obviously we want to win firstly, but the main goal is to take points for the championship. So if you can achieve 2 podiums this weekend, would be already a good thing. Obviously we'll try to go for the win.
Fresh off the back of their victory in the Paul Ricard endurance race, RJN are entering this weekend here in Moscow as well. Nick Hammond is one of the drivers, and alongside him is home favourite Mark Szulzicki.
I think it's really big present from Nissan for me. I always saying I would like to race in my home in Russia. I'm looking forward for good results in overall, because there is a lot of good teams and cars and drivers, so it will be a pleasure to be in the top.
Attempto Racing have brought 1 McLaren and 1 Porsche this weekend. The Porsche, a new entry for Ivan Samarin, the Russian, and Sergei Chokhanov, the Ukrainian. Where in the 55 McLaren, as ever, it's Kevin Estre and Rob Bell looking to be at the front.
We'll get there first thing tomorrow and do a track walk. And I see there's a couple of quite long straights, certainly one, so we're going to have opportunities to overtake. And yeah, until I get there and have a drive around, then I'll not know exactly, but I think it could suit our car. And we're aiming, obviously, to come here and win, you know, first time in Moscow. I have to say we're here in the city centre, which is fantastic. Brilliant place to be, and we'll learn more obviously tomorrow.
At the GT Russian team, it's Marco Asma and Alexei Vasiliev once again reunited in the 71 Mercedes SLS. They'll be looking for another Pro-Am victory, but they'll have a tough challenge from within their own team. Bernd Schneider can't make it this weekend, so it's Christoph Buschu who will be partnering Alexei Kadachev in the number 70 GT Russian Mercedes SLS.
It's very important for me because it's our homeland, it's in Moscow. It's very nice, so many fans here, and we feel their support of our Russian team, and we will try to do the best what we can do on our home racetrack, Moscow Raceway.
At HDP Bentley, Jules Simkowiak has his third teammate of the season. He's being joined by Max van Splunteren, son of former GT racer Paul van Splunteren. The all-Dutch pairing will be looking for a strong result this weekend, and the same is true of the 84 HDP Bentley, Vincent Abril and Maximilian Buch.
I think we are in a good position with P3 now in the championship, so I think when we can have a good weekend here, the rest of the season should be fine. For sure you cannot say for sure that you can win a race, but we will aim for it and hopefully can connect to the performance we had in Zolder.
After being replaced by Peter Cox for a one-off round last time in Zolder, Nick Katzberg returns to the 88 Reiter Engineering Lamborghini. As ever, he will be partnered by Albert von Turnentaxis, who can't wait to get racing here in Russia.
I'm very excited. It's first time for me, first time in Russia, first time in Moscow, first time on the track here, so don't quite know what to expect. But from what I've seen, it's a track that's not too bad for us, and yeah, we hope to make a good result this weekend finally.
An unlucky weekend in Zolder meant that the 333 Rinaldi Racing Ferrari got punted out at turn 1. They've had the pace all season, and maybe this weekend we'll see them on the top step. As ever, it's Marco Seefried and Norbert Siedler.
Yeah, it's really nice to be here in Moscow, especially with our friends, with Russian guys, and it's my first time here, and tomorrow we will see the track. It's my first time as well, so I hope we have a good car here and we can fight for a podium again. I think the Ferrari will be good on this racetrack. The last race weekend we were fast everywhere, so actually we will be here quick as well.
It's time for the qualifying race here in Moscow ahead of the 4th round of the 2015 Blancpain Sprint Series. My name is Jack Nichols, overlooking what is a beautiful circuit and a beautiful day here in Moscow, some 100 kilometers outside of the capital city. 29.5 degrees the air temperature, track temperature 40.3 degrees. It really is a lovely day, and here's a look at the grid. Starting on pole position is going to be Nick Katzberg in the 88 Reiter Engineering Lamborghini. Marcus Winkelhock alongside him. Winkelhock is going to be driving alone in this race. Nicky Meyer-Melnhof has had to go home. Norbert Siedler is third on the grid, ahead of the McLaren of Kevin Estre. Then fifth we have Laurens Vanthoor, the championship leaders Vanthoor and Freins only down in 5th position for this one. 7th on the grid, Jules Simkowiak in the 83 Bentley, and then alongside him is the 84 Bentley of Max Buch, out-qualified by his teammate Ortelli and Jimenez, completing the top 10 and rounding off a difficult qualifying session for the WRT team. Philippe Salaquada and Frank Stippler are in 11th and 12th positions in their pair of Audis. Then we've got the first of the GT Russian cars, Marco Asma, starting in front of Craig Dolby in 14th spot on the grid. 15th is Attila Abreu, and alongside him it should be the 54 Porsche of Sergei Chukhanov, and then at the back of the grid, Hammond and the race gets underway here in Moscow on the run down towards turn 1. Katzberg holds the lead. It's a really fast start from the Ferrari, looking to the inside line, and he gets through into 2nd place. Great stuff from Siedler. The McLaren has also gone past as well. Marcus Winkelhock is the man who has lost out the most. He's gone from 2nd down to 4th position by the looks of things, and he's got Maxi Buch right up behind him, so Buch has done a good start from 8th position. They all filter through, and that is the championship leader, Laurens Vanthoor, right at the back of the pack. Has he run into trouble on this opening lap? It looks as though things have not gone well for the number 1 WRT Audi. Yes, there he is, right rear puncture by the looks of things. So Laurens Vanthoor and Robin Freins, the championship leaders, are in big trouble, but it's Nick Katzberg who has managed to hold the lead then on this opening lap as they swing around turn 9. And second then is Norbert Siedler and Marco Seefried in the Rinaldi 333 Ferrari. Right up behind them, actually, is Kevin Estre. Estre pushing very hard. Then it's Winkelhock, then it's Buch, then it's Christopher Mies. A good start from Christopher Mies as well. And Nick Katzberg, though, is the man who's going to try and command it. This is on board, looking back from the Rinaldi Ferrari. It's Kevin Estre behind as we head out onto the back straight for the first time. A little look towards the inside, a decisive move from Felipe Salaquada, but he goes in too deep. That allows Sergio Jimenez to get the cutback, and it might allow the other WRT Audi through as well of Frank Stippler. Stippler looks to the inside and does go past. Mies, meanwhile, is under pressure. The McLaren runs wide of Kevin Estre. But a dramatic opening lap, and dramatic in terms of the championship battle, because Laurens van Thor, there he is in the pits, and you can see that the tyre has been punctured because of presumably contact on that opening lap. 1.8 seconds the gap at the front between the Lamborghini Gallardo from Reiter Engineering of Nick Katzberg and the 333 Ferrari in second position. Closest battle really is this one, Marcus Winkelhock, who's now behind Max Buch. So Max Buch has got past him at some point, and now Jules Simkowiak in the 83 Bentley is trying to attack. As they come to the right-hander, Simkowiak to the inside, make contact. Both of them slide off. The Phoenix team unhappy because that has cost Marcus Winkelhock 3 positions. It's cost Simkowiak 2. Leading the way is still Nick Katzberg. There is Simkowiak then, who's made up a position. Here's a look at the replay. Sent it up the inside, back end steps out, and a bit of contact. And that's a real shame for Marcus Winkelhock, as he is knocked back a couple of positions. Nothing really he could do there. He was just minding his own business. Christopher Mies running very well in 4th position at the moment. Bit of rear bodywork loose on the 83 Bentley. As coming into the pit lane is the Nissan. So one of the Nissans coming into the pits. That is an unscheduled pit stop for Nick Hammond in the RJN Nissan. So we'll see whether they emerge once again. There they are, and no obvious signs of damage. 3.1 seconds the gap at the front. Across the line comes Nick Katzberg. We're on board with Sergio Jimenez then. The Brazilian BMW driver, who at the moment is running in 6th position and is a couple of seconds back from Christopher Mies. Pit stop window open, and Felipe Salaquada is the first man to come in, followed by Craig Dolby. So those two were running a line astern on the circuit, and now they've decided to come into the pits. Meanwhile, this is the battle between the McLaren and the Bentley. Kevin Estre up in front of us. Maximilian Buch we're on board with in the HTP Bentley. As in comes Salaquada to hand over to his Le Mans racer teammate Marco Bononomi. 4 wheels done on the ISR car. There's the 2nd place Ferrari of Norbert Siedler. And it's a long old way back, isn't it, for this battle between the McLaren and the Bentley. The McLaren really losing pace over these last couple of laps. And Maximilian Buch will be trying to hunt and find a way through. The stop window opens, so you wonder if Buch will pit early to try and get some clear air for he and Vincent Abril. Race leader stays out. 2nd place car stays out by the looks of things, that lime green Ferrari. And what about the McLaren and the Bentley? Are we going to see them peeling their hugging the inside line? Is the McLaren defending or pitting? It's pitting. So in comes Kevin Estre and in comes Maximilian Buch. Now the Attempto Racing squad are new to Blancpain Sprint this year, so as a result they aren't that quick in the pit stops compared to some of the other more experienced teams. Marcus Winkelhock coming in as well. Maximilian Buch. There's Vincent Abril, the young Monegasque racer climbing in. There's the 55 McLaren just doing the right rear on there, and still doing the right rear by the looks of things. This isn't a particularly quick stop. Meanwhile, look, the Bentley squad are done, and Buch and Abril are going to be on their way. Are they going to, well, they're going to comfortably leapfrog the McLaren. The McLaren's still got another wheel to do. So the BMW is going to get past as well here. as finally out goes Rob Bell, but that has cost them a lot of time. You can see visibly there how much further back in the road they are. They were in front of that HTP Bentley that's coming out of the pits. And now they're a long way back. In fact, the other Brazilian BMW might be in with a shot of getting past as well. And no, it looks as though the McLaren has held onto the place for the time being. Rob Bell at the wheel now of the 55 car. Little lock-up from the Nissan. Nick Katzberg stays out, so does second place Norbert Siedler. And this is the gap back to Christopher Mies, who now he's in clear air, is running very quickly, Christopher Mies. Maybe able to climb up a couple of positions. This is nose to tail, meanwhile, between Frank Stippler and Attila Abreu. Down into the left-hander. This will ultimately be the battle over the sort of lower reaches of the top 10. At the moment, they're running in 5th and 6th positions, but that's because they haven't pitted yet. Attila Abreu desperate to try and find a way past as they come into turn 1. 31.5 minutes to go, so only 6 minutes remaining in the pit stop window. As they swing down through the long right-hander of turn 3. Up towards the double apex left of 4. Attila Abreu, the man who finished runner-up in the Brazilian Stock Car Championship last year. Now climbing up the hill through 7 and 8. Now where can this BMW try and find a way past Frank Stippler? That's going to be the big question for Attila Abreu. He's already done well because he started in 15th position. Nick Katzberg, race leader, as the Nissan locks up again, stays out. There's Albert von Turn and Taxis waiting to take over, but in comes the second place car then. In comes the 333 lime green Ferrari, Norbert Siedler at the wheel, as he turns into the pit lane. Now they should come out in a comfortable second position if all goes well. They trundle down the pit lane. In also comes Attila Abreu, so that 77 BMW, they're going to try and jump that number 4 WRT Audi in the pit stops. And the Brazilian BMWs are very good in their pit stops, often winning the prize for the quickest pit stop. In he comes, sends the marker board. And the mechanics get to work. Only 2 mechanics allowed to change the tyres, and then 1 mechanic allowed to be the sort of overseer. Like a decent stop so far for the Brazilians. And away goes Valdeno Brito, now at the wheel of the 77. There's the 333 Rinaldi Ferrari back out and comfortably in front of the 3rd place now. Vincent Abreu Bentley. There's the other Team Brazil car. Then we got the McLaren, and the McLaren's going to come out just in front. So Rob Bell, then Valdeno Brito, and then Marcus Winkelhock. So that's the order. There's Albert von Turn and Taxis, teammate of the race leader, waiting to take over. And here, trundling down the pit lane, comes Nicky Katzberg. What a superb performance it's been from him to take pole position and command about a 5-second advantage as the pit stop window opens. Very talented young driver, Nick Katzberg. Slick pit stop as well from the Reiter engineering team. And there's the second place car coming around the penultimate corner and out onto that long back stretch, and Albert von Turn and Taxis is already on his way. This is going to be a huge advantage for the Reiter engineering Lamborghini. Where's this 83 Bentley going to come out? That'll be interesting to see. Jules Simkowiak has handed over to Max van Splunteren. Out comes the race leader, Albert von Turn Taxis with about a 10-second lead. There's the second place car now. So Albert von Turn Taxis with 27 minutes to go is looking increasingly strong here. Nick Katzberg, very happy. Meanwhile, through comes the McLaren. Now here comes Max van Splunteren. Is he going to come out in front? No, just behind Marcus Winkelhock for van Splunteren. But he's going to be very much in the fight. Winkelhock doing the whole race by himself in that number 6 Phoenix Audi. So this is going to be tough work for him. And he's back out with the Bentley he was battling with earlier on. So he's managed to leapfrog them actually in the pit stops. Third place Bentley of Maximilian Buch and Vincent Abril. Abril now at the wheel, trying to close down on the Ferrari in front. He is closing in, but so little it almost makes no difference. So the third place for them will put their championship challenge back on track, because they've had a couple of difficult weekends, especially in Nogaro and then Brands Hatch, where they didn't get to do any racing. Last time out in Zolder, a couple of podiums, and if they can continue that form here, I think they'll be pretty satisfied. And then here's the gap back to Enzo Eid now, who's at the wheel of the number 2 WRT Audi. So Enzo Eid with Caca Bueno right up behind him. As they come out onto the back stretch, this is the battle over 4th position, on board with Caca Bueno. BMW's not bad in a straight line. The Audi has been restricted, and you can see that he's a tenth or so quicker on the last couple of laps. And then obviously the 47 seconds was when he pitted. So they come out onto the start-finish straight again, 19 minutes to go, and this is the battle over 4th place. Further back, the other Brazilian of Valdeno Brito is under pressure from behind. And here's a look at a little move from Sean Walkinshaw, forcing his way past Alexei Vasiliev there. Good move. On board with Caca Bueno, right up behind Enzo Eid in the battle over 4th position. The Belgian racer with the Belgian Audi club up in front of us. Nerves on the BMW Sports Trophy Team Brazil pit wall, and there's the cutback and through. Caca Bueno's got alongside, and he's managed to get past. Great drive coming out of the penultimate corner, and he's got the job done before they even get to the braking zone. And he knows it, so he moves back over, and that's job done. And will we now see Bueno scamper on up the road? Marcus Winkelhock in the Phoenix number 6 Audi. Oh, there's an attack to the inside line. Valdeno Brito trying to force his way past Rob Bell. Hasn't quite worked out because Bell keeps the inside line through the next right kink. But that was an audacious effort. But at the moment, no one is close to stopping the 88 Riser Engineering Lamborghini. That man there, Nick Katzberg, started the race. Winkelhock right up behind Valdeno Brito. On the run down towards the final corner. Little nose to the inside line, but he thought about it there, but not quite close enough to make the move stick. Again, just pulling out to try and find a way through, but nothing doing for Winkelhock. Might have to just settle for that position. Oh, and there's a spin for Marcus Winkelhock, losing the back end, and that has put him out of contention. That'll drop him well down the top 10. Penultimate lap now for our race leader. And you can see Marco Seefried has closed in a little bit on Albert von Turn Taxis in the last couple of laps, but only by tenths of a second. Third place is Vincent Abril in the number 83 Bentley. The HTP machine with the new livery this weekend, 84 Bentley I should say, comes across the line to start his final tour of this 4-kilometer Moscow Raceway circuit. The battles continue further back, a little bit out of shape there, Enzo Eid coming into the final corner. Then we've got Max van Splunteren, still just in front of the chasing Stefan Ortelli and Stefan Rakelmi. It's Rakelmi at the wheel now. So battles everywhere you look. Except up at the front, where we've got a really strong performance from Von Turn and Taxis and Nick Katzberg. As they swing down through the right-hander. But here are our race leaders. Albert Von Turn and Taxis at the wheel now. What a superb performance it has been from him. He and Nick Katzberg are about to take victory in there for the first ever time in the Blancpain GT Series. Really impressive performance. Just one more corner to go. Reiter Engineering haven't won for a couple of seasons, but that is about to change. As here comes Albert Von Turn and Taxis across the line to win the qualifying race in Moscow and secure pole position for the main race later on. Second across the line, the 333 Rinaldi Ferrari. And third across the line, the 84 HTP Bentley of Maximilian Buch. And the final corner battle coming down. Enzo Eid is just going to hold on to 5th place by the looks of things. Holding off Rob Bell across the line. And 5th for him then, and 7th place for the 77 BMW. Victory for Albert Von Turn and Taxis and Nick Katzberg. Superb performance from them. And we can now hear from our race winners.
Nicky Katzberg, would it be wrong to call that a bit of a Nick and Al show?
Yeah, it was definitely a good show today. I mean, I had a good start, good stint, and then Albert did perfect job. He maintained the gap, and very, very nice victory for us. It took us a while, and now we are up to speed, and the guys have to be careful for race 2.
Albert, the team did a brilliant pit stop, but you did a brilliant job behind the wheel. That's got to be as good as I've ever seen you drive.
Well, that's very kind. It's not so difficult to drive if one has served the lead like that by his partner. I have to say I'm really completely stoked by how good the car was, especially in the deteriorating conditions. The temperatures were quite hot now, and it was just a smooth drive. It was not difficult for me to bring the car home, and I'm just so grateful, so grateful after a series of very difficult years, you can say. This is a wonderful result.
Well, I think everybody's fully appreciative. Well done, guys. See you later.
Thank you.
So victory for the 88 Reiter Engineering Lamborghini of Albert Von Turn and Taxis and Nick Katzberg. It's second for the 333 Ferrari, Marco Seefried and Norbert Siedler. Vincent Abril and Maximilian Buch in 3rd place, and then 4th for Caco Bueno and Sergio Jimenez. And our championship leaders, though, they are the ones who were in trouble at the end of that. But 7.2 seconds in the end, the winning margin. What a superb performance that was for Albert Von Turn and Taxis and Nick Katzberg. But it was the really difficult day at the office for the number 1 WRT Audi. Robin Freitz and Laurence van Thor, who topped the championship, sent retiring after contact at the first corner, I think with one of the Bentleys, but we'll have to wait and see. But they will be hopefully out on the grid for the main race, which is coming up a little bit later on. And there you can see the grid being prepared ahead of what should be an enthralling race. And on pole position once again, it'll be Albert Von Turn and Taxis, and he will be starting the car this time around alongside Nick Katzberg. So it's going to be very, very interesting to see how this race transpires coming up in a couple of moments' time. The main race here in Moscow is about to get underway. The car's about to attack this 4-kilometer Moscow Raceway circuit you can see beneath us, and there is the grid and the national anthem being played just before the start of what should be an enthralling race, because we've got a really exciting grid to start it with. 30.9 degrees the air temperature, track temperature 42 degrees pretty much. Not much humidity at all. It really is a lovely day for racing, and it's going to be a real challenge for these drivers out there. There's the car that will start in second place, and it is the Russian Rinaldi team that are going to be starting on the front row. Fantastic performance from them to see them starting in second place. And it'll be Marco Seefried starting that car as he did last time out in Zolder, but from second on the grid it didn't go quite according to plan. They got punted off at the first corner, so they'll be hoping for a little bit of a different performance here. Here's a look at the circuit. 4 kilometers, 15 corners, one long back straight, some overtaking opportunities. It is quite difficult though to make a pass around this Moscow circuit. We're some 450 meters above sea level, and it's a circuit that was opened in 2012. Has hosted the FIA GT1 World Championship in the past, as well as World Series by Renault, World Touring Cars, and many other championships. So my name is Jack Nichols. Up here in the commentary box we've got John Watson, who's down on the grid, and hopefully we'll be hearing from some of the drivers. And as the build-up to the race progresses, there is the pole sitter, 88, Albert von Turnentaxis and Nick Katzberg. It'll be von Turnentaxis starting the car, and we can now hear from Maximilian Buch. He is going to be starting third on the grid. He's talking to John.
Max, the qualifying race promised a lot, but only got a third place out of it. Was that the best you can expect?
Yeah, I was pretty happy already with the third place in the qualifying race, because we didn't have the strong qualifying. It's not the best track for us, but we made the best of the situation in the qualifying race, and now I hope that we can minimum stay on P3 and then do the best we can.
Now, Vincent's going to start the race, and over to the right you've got a green Ferrari. Marco's asked me to ask you to ask Vincent, would he please manage not to hit it this time?
I think so. I mean, he learned from the mistake from Zolder for sure, because he's a young guy, and me too. And I think he will have a good start. It will be a clean start, and then I think we just follow the others and have a good race.
Okay, we'll have a good one and a clean one.
And a clean one.
Thank you.
It'll be Vincent Abril starting the car for the 84 Bentley team. There is the second place car on the grid, then the 333 of Marco Seefried and Norbert Siedler. And they are lined up at the front, and how excited they would be to take pole position, because, to take the lead of the race, because it's very quick in a straight line, that car. And it's also the car used by Kogai, Salikov, Seefried and Siedler in the Blancpain Endurance Series. You can see all the stickers on the roof there. A couple of moments ago, John caught up with Nick Katzberg, who is part of the pole position car team.
Nicky Katzberg, we're standing at the rear of the winning Lamborghini, and I just noticed a bit of bodywork damage. Now, where did that come from?
To be honest, I have no idea who it was, but I got a big hit at the start in turn 1. But in the end, it's just a little bit of bodywork, and nothing really happened with the car whatsoever, so I don't know.
Now, you know I'm a bit tough on you guys from time to time, and track limits and first corner shunts, but do you guys never learn that if you don't get through turn 1, you won, so not you, but there's others behind you. If they don't get through turn 1, they'll never win.
No, that's true. I mean, you have to start first and do a good first lap before actually winning the race. But the track limits here are difficult. You know, you have grass outside of the track, and once you touch it, once you're on it, it's very, very difficult to come back. That's why you see all those track limits on the screen.
Now, your team co-driver Albert von Turnentaxis did a really excellent job, but aided by, we talked about this in the podium, a great pit stop from the Reiter team. Have you been rehearsing, or just why was that pit stop so quick?
Well, the guys have been practicing so much. I mean, driving the car is one thing, but really this pit stop is where you win and lose a race. And the guys have been practicing so hard. Hans Reiter is not the easiest guy for his crew. So he has been pushing them a lot, and they did, I think, third fastest pit stop. And actually, me and Albert did a slow driver change, so it was more our fault than theirs that it was not the fastest pit stop.
Albert starting the main race, there's going to be a different pressure on him from when he took a car over from you. You're a lot more experienced. Have you given him any advice?
Well, not really. Albert is, he knows what he's doing, and to be honest, I think he's going to stay in the lead. And if he does that, then I will be super, super proud of him.
Well, I can tell you now, everybody thinks he's a real hoot from his performance up on the podium. They love him. He thinks magnificent performance on the podium. Forget about the racetrack.
Yeah. When you're on the podium, I was super happy, but now we have to be ready for this race. We both smell like the champagne, and I think we will do it again.
Okay, I hope you have fun. Enjoy it.
So that was Nick Katzberg a couple of moments ago before the grid was cleared. And you can see everyone now streaming out off the grid ahead of this 1 hour race that we've got coming up in a couple of moments' time. And it's the 4th round of the championship. After this, we head to Portimão, the Portugal circuit, on the south coast in September. So a bit of a break for these guys. Of course, the Blancpain GT Series continues with the 24 Hours of Spa on the 25th and 26th of July. But as far as the Sprint Series is concerned, it's just Algarve, Misano and Zandvoort still to go. Now we can hear from Kevin Estre, the man who's in the McLaren.
Kevin Estre, McLaren again promised a lot in the early stages of the qualifying race, but it sort of faded away a little bit at the end.
Yeah, we had a bigger tire degradation than we thought, maybe the tire pressure, so and a bit of the setup. We adjusted for this race, and then we had a problem on the rear right in the pit stop, so we lost a lot of time there. But I think if Rob has a good start and no problem, we should be able to fight for a podium finish. So that's what we aim for, and we have the pace for it.
Well, thank you very much, Kevin. I know you're going to fight for it, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So there's Caca Bueno in the 0 Brazilian BMW. And that car is going to be starting in 4th place on the grid. And there is the car that will be starting 3rd. Vincent Abril at the wheel of the 84 HTP Bentley. They are the drivers that are 3rd in the championship standings at the moment. As this field gets ready to take to the track, and it's good to see we have got the Porsche out there as well at the back. Here's a look at the grid. On the right-hand side, we've got Nick Katzberg starting on pole position. It's Marco Seefried alongside him on the front row. Then on the right-hand side, Vincent Abril, 3rd on the grid, just in front of Caca Bueno in the 0 BMW Team Brazil car. Enzo Eid is going to be starting the number 2 WRT Audi. Alongside him will be Rob Belt, Kevin Estre's teammate there on the left-hand side. And the McLaren will be looking for a good start to try and get up towards the front of the order. Then we've got the team that is 2nd in the championship at the moment. On the right-hand side, 7th on the grid, Valdeno Britta and Attila Abreu. And they're starting alongside Max van Sprunteren in the 83 Bentley. Next up, it is Stefan Rakelmi in the number 3 Audi. Alongside him, Marcus Winkelhock, the only driver in that number 6 car. Then we've got James Nash starting the number 4 WRT Audi, and alongside him Sean Walkinshaw, so an all-British row 6. Then Marco Bononomi is going to be starting just behind Alexei Karachev. Karachev there on the right-hand side. And then here we've got Alexei Vasiliev on the right, but our championship leaders, very smoky championship leaders. Robin Freitz will be starting that WRT Audi on the left-hand side, and then at the back of the field, Mark Szulzicki, and starting the 54 car will be Sergei Chukhanov. So that's the grid, and they are about to take to the circuit. And there is the championship leader, Robin Freitz at the wheel. He has got a lot of work to do, and so far in his GT career, he's only started from pole position. He's never actually started from anywhere lower back in the pack, so he's got his work cut out today, no doubt about that. Just waiting for the green flag and the action to begin. They'll head around behind the safety car, and it'll be a rolling start as ever in the Blancpain Sprint Series here in Moscow. The cars head off for the main race. 25 points on offer for the winner. And that Porsche has got going, so that's good to see after a drive shaft problem earlier on in the first race. But the cars weave their way around now. And it's Albert von Turnentaxis who's going to be starting from pole position. His first pole position in Blancpain as well. So the pressure really on him at the moment. And also, I suppose, on Marco Seefried, who's second on the grid. It's the home race for the Rinaldi team, so they will really want to have a strong session here. They've got an awful lot of guests and sponsors out the back in the paddock. And they will be hoping that they can do them justice here today. Here's a look at the grid ahead of the main race. It's von Turnentaxis on pole, the Ferrari of Marco Seefried alongside him. Row 2, Vincent Abril in the Bentley and Caca Bueno in the BMW. Row 3 sees Enzo Ede starting in 5th position with Rob Bell in 6th in the Attempto Racing McLaren. 7th on the grid will be Valdeno Brito in the 2nd BMW Sports Trophy Team Brazil car. Van Splunteren alongside Raquelme and Marcus Winkelhock completing the top 10. Then in 11th position, we got James Nash for Team WRT. Then the first of the Nissans, Sean Walkinshaw, starting the MRS GT entry. Alexei Karachev 13th, Marco Bononomi 14th. Then in 15th position, Alexei Vasiliev for the GT Russian team. And championship leader, Robin Freitz and Laurence Van Thor in 16th. Mark Szolzicki, and it's Ivan Samarin completing the runners. Here we go, John, final thoughts.
Final thoughts are obviously what's going to happen into turn 1. We saw championship leaders taken out by contact. Please, guys, remember, keep telling them, even I spoke to Nicky on the grid with the Lamborghini, and just try and avoid everybody else. But it's easy to say, much more difficult to do.
Safety car peels in. Into the final corner. The crowd in the grandstands are on their feet. On pole position, it's Albert von Turnentaxis on the right-hand side in the Lamborghini. Marco Seefried alongside him as we go racing, and it's a great start from Vincent Abril. He slices through the middle and into the lead of the race, and there's 3 wide. Enzo Ede on the inside line, and we've got cars off running wide, and in the middle of the pack, around goes von Turnentaxis. The pole man has spun, and he's at the back of the grid. The Ferrari got caught up in all of that as well, but it was a rocket start from Vincent Abril. A slow BMW in the middle of the pack too. They've picked up damage, possibly a puncture. Everyone else filtering their way around. Slow start as well for the McLaren. Really feisty opening lap. They didn't listen to you, John.
No, they didn't. I was a waste of my time. And Vincent Abril, I don't know where he got that jump from, but certainly he's fit the front row of the grid, forced the Ferrari way wide out. At least it managed to avoid contact. But poor Albert von Turnentaxis, talk about getting mugged. I mean, he was just absolutely taken to the cleaners, and that wonderful smile that we've been seeing all day, well, I don't know where that will be now.
No, absolutely not. So we'll see if he's managed to get going again. Robin Freitz made some good progress in all that chaotic start, and there is von Turnentaxis out of the race at turn 1. Didn't get a good start, and then I think it was Enzo Ede who was a bit banzai on the inside of turn 1 up on the grass, and that kind of caused the concertina effect.
Well, it's always a tricky entry to turn 1 here in the Moscow Raceway, but everybody knows that, and I don't understand why they have to keep time and again knocking numbers of cars, some cases potential winning cars, out of the race.
So leading the way is Vincent Abril. In second position as they come into the left-hander is the 77 BMW, I think, of Valdeno Brito, all kicking off further back. There's a look up the inside. Rob Bell losing a place to the ISR car. Running wide is Robin Freitz. In second position is the 77 BMW then. So great start from Valdeno Brito. 7th to 2nd for the men who are second in the championship. Then it's Enzo Ede behind in third position. And we're on board with Marco Seefried, who's in 4th place at the moment.
Interesting to see now we've had one racing lap. If the drivers have sort of settled down, I suspect they have. They've realised that the real danger area was turn 1, and wait to see Marcus Seefried has got a car. Seefried has got a car which is, I think, a quicker car on lap time. Whether it's quicker down the straight, and bits of bodywork coming off. There's the damage.
54 Porsche.
And there's that a tyre as well as a wheel, bodywork. certainly something came up, and I don't know whether it was the bodywork for the Porsche or a bit of a base of tyre, but anyway, a lot of heavy damage around the front. And of course, Porsche's oil and water radiators are mounted in the front, not a great place to have damage.
We've also got the Zero BMW in the pits. There is the Zero car. Caca Bueno started 4th on the grid and just got involved in all that shenanigans up at the start. There's forceful move from James Nash. You can tell he was in touring cars as he takes the position away, and Robin Freitz is going to try and follow through. That's on Alexei Kadashev that they're passing, so that's a move for all the way up in 8th position.
Yeah, and I think the other ideas managed to sneak through as well. But I mean, we're talking about a touring car manoeuvre. That was typical out of British touring cars. You stick your nose up the inside if there's a gap available. And then, of course, the Mercedes tried to shut the door, by which time it was too late. Siegfried up the inside of the Audi and takes the corner away. Has he got control of the exit? That will be the key. Can the Ferrari outdrag the Audi all the way down? Easy. Yes, he has made one position. Now the BMW should be slightly easier as the two Audis go side by side into turn 1.
Yeah, Marcus Winkelhock now challenging Enzo Ede, so that is 3rd place then for the 333 Rinaldi Ferrari. Leading the way is Vincent Abril, comfortably leading the way. And 2nd then is still the BMW, and 3rd is the 333 Ferrari. And Enzo Ede is now under pressure from Marcus Winkelhock. The two of them were teammates a couple of years ago at Phoenix, before Enzo Ede switched to WRT. I think that was in 2012. So they know each other very well. And there's a bit of a gap back to James Nash, but it's Abril leading the way in the Bentley. 2nd place for Brito. 3rd now is the energised Marco Siegfried. Then there's Robin Freitz, the championship leader. He is up into 9th position then, Robin Freitz.
Yeah, I mean, they're playing a long game. They've just got to be patient. They've just got to try and make the positions as quickly and as best they can. There's no use trying to be overly aggressive, because that'll end up with potential damage to your car. And there's a car on the left front also, which has gone down, no doubt, as a consequence of whatever contact occurred on that one.
Well, here's a look at the replay of the start. So the lights go out. Von Taxis doesn't get a good start, but watch for Enzo Ede here. The Audi on the right-hand side of shot, number 2, he ends up on the grass, cutting straight across, barrels into the side of the Lamborghini, and I think that's where the damage came.
Yeah, the Lamborghini got spun round in the middle of the pack there. You can see it going around. Fortunately, everybody managed to drive around him while the car was rotating through 360 degrees. I mean, a real mess in the middle of turn 1, and the pole sitter, the race winner from the first race. Here again, the Bentley just somehow or other, magnificent bite off the start, splits the front row of the grid, clear air. He's all on his own. We've got this unguided missile coming down the inside called Enzo Ede, who really in effect sets off the chain of reactions that led to dear old Albert von Taxis there at BMW also. That was, I think, Caca Bueno who got tagged in that initial contact in turn 1. You know, you talk to them on the grid. I mean, you can't talk to them any later, and you say, look, can we not just control ourselves? And what happens? Drives me nuts.
And the teams and race directors as well, I imagine. So, and up there, that's the move been made then by the 333 Ferrari. So, up into 2nd place now has gone the Rinaldi Ferrari of Marco Siegfried. He's got past Valdeno Brito somewhere out there on the circuit. Abril leads, Siegfried 2nd, and this is now the battle for 3rd between the BMW and the Audi behind it. 7 minutes gone. Frantic opener.
Well, I think that seeing that Marco Siegfried get through by the Audi, but principally against the BMW, was never going to be a huge problem. But he's now got as his nemesis up ahead, Vincent Abril, leading this race in the Bentley, the man of the magic start in this main race here, Russia Raceway this afternoon. So Siegfried has got to get his head down, focus on what's going on ahead of him. He's got clear air. He's not going to have to worry about cars that are potentially slower than him in a lap. But there is the rest of the pack. They're all getting bunched up by the 4th place BMW.
And there's a move being made by Rob Bell. He's battling with Mark Szulzicki, who's at the wheel of the 23 Nissan, tucked right up behind him. Also, Robin Freitz surely will at some point be let through by his teammate James Nash, as Szulzicki in the big RJN Nissan trying to find his way past Rob Bell, tries to get the cutback out of turn 1, not quite close enough, but this is a better showing for the 23 Nissan that retired in the first race.
Yes, well, we've got Mark Szulzicki behind the wheel, whereas the Hermann
Easy for you to say.
Yeah, it is. No, but he is the professional of the Pro-Am lineup, and I mean, much more experienced and knows his way around the car, and more capable of getting the best out of the car, especially in a context of a battle of traffic.
See, now look at this here. Robin Freins surely will be let through in a moment by James Nash. Those two cars there about to come into shot, and you'd think that James Nash should get out of Freins' way as soon as possible, because the 4 car really isn't in contention for the championship at the moment. Winkelhock looking to the inside line, not quite close enough, but yeah, you'd think that there'd be a bit of WRT teamwork going on here.
There may well be, and I think that's going to happen not at this part of the racetrack. Most likely it'll come into the final corner at the end of the straight, where it would be seen to be a clean and legitimate. You'd hate to have to call it to James Nash to pull over and let the number 1 Audi, the championship leader, in effect, get ahead of you.
He is tucked right behind those. They come down towards the final turn now, and so keep an eye out on that move. There we go.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much textbook stuff. You know, a little bit of defence from James Nash, but nothing that was threatening to Robin Freins. So he goes through.
Oh my goodness, we're going 3 wide here. This is Enzo Eid, and he's being attacked by Stefan Rakelmi, and all of them are being dealt with by Marcus Winkelhock. Winkelhock around the outside, and he's up into 4th place. So I don't know what's happened to Enzo Eid, but he and Winkelhock and everyone must have been battling. That's allowing Max van Splunteren into the action as well. So, well, that all got a bit feisty, didn't it? And Rakelmi was trying to follow through as well, but long and short of it is, Winkelhock is 4th, Enzo Eid is 5th, and in 6th place is Stefan Rakelmi.
Well, I think Enzo Eid has been under pressure pretty much since this race started almost 10 minutes ago. In fact,
Alexei Vasiliev.
Yeah, and in fact, he might be seen as the trigger to that incident which took out the pole sitting and race-winning car from the sprint race this morning. Nevertheless, he's having to do what he does, which is defend his position. But inevitably, when you start driving, looking in your mirror all the time, or your door mirrors, then the focus goes away from being forward-looking to being defensive.
Now then, 2.8 seconds between 1st and 2nd positions at the moment. And that last lap, it came down by 1/10 of a second. So a long way to go in this race, but the Ferrari looks to have the pace. It was just that breakaway that the Bentley managed at the start that has given it this breathing space. That's the back-marking Brazilian BMW in front of us. And then we've got our race leader here.
I mean, I think we talked to Marco Seefried on the grid and talked about the various aspects of temperature control. So what he may be doing is doing the best he can, but at the same time...
And here's James Nash going back past Robin Freins. So Nash looking to the inside of Freins. Freins is pushed to the outside.
But it's the Bentley von Struppenen who might be able to pick up a position, because James Nash did something which wasn't really clearly on. The Bentley's looking to go the long way around the outside of turn 1, and he's been forced wide as James Nash himself pretty much runs off the track.
So I'm surprised to see Nash is really going at it. I mean, Freins has broken away now, so he should be in the clear. But James Nash, because of the pressure of Van Splunteren, kind of had to go to the inside, because otherwise he was almost defending from the Bentley rather than attacking his teammate.
Yeah, the difficulty is, do you come into play with the number 1 car, the championship leading car, in the process? And of course, 3 cars coming onto pit straight, almost 3 of them in the pit lane rather than on the racetrack. So that's a judgment call a driver has to make. And whether he was intending to try and get a past Robin Freins, you can see the gap now is open up to nearly a second.
So 49 minutes to go as they come through the right-hander, and 49 minutes to go. Now here's a look at the replay of the start. This is on board with the Rinaldi Ferrari as they come out. This is out of the final turn, and then they will wait for the lights and watch that Bentley on the right-hand side and the Audi further back of Enzo Eid.
So the lights are about to go out now, and there we see the start, but it's the Bentley that splits the front row of the grid. I mean, you can't quite see where the Audi was. Enzo Eid came down the inside, got onto the grass on the inside, and that was effectively what was the trigger for all this incident, which took out the race-winning car. There you see the Lamborghini spinning around, and in part, some of the chaos on the outside. So we didn't really get a clearer view, as we've seen from the shots, actually, the camera shots on the outside of the circuit.
Yep, that was the Rinaldi Ferrari then forced wide. That's where Caca Bueno, we saw him dropping back. And that's where, okay, so Rakelmi made a mistake that allowed Winkelhock through. Now, this is the one.
Now, look at the Bentley just gets a mega jump, but it's the car on the right of your screen. Enzo Eid coming down the inside. I don't think Albert van Turnen Texas had much he could do because he was being bumped on the right-hand side by the BMW. He had the Audi up the inside, so it was a case in reality of 3 into 2 isn't going to go. So there's the Ferrari. Oh, this is coming through. This is onto the start now. So watch on board Vincent Abril in the Bentley. Somewhere or other, what he did, how he got the traction, he was actually rolling more quickly than the 2 cars ahead. So he had an advantage over the start, the control of the start of the race. He's up and gone. Now, whether that would be deemed to be a jump start is another matter, because he was out of his start. He was on it, but he was technically out of his start position before the lights went out. From what you need to see it from many more angles, but that also is something that could be reviewed. Whether it would be a penalty or not is a separate matter.
Busy day for the stewards, and we've only had 13 minutes of racing so far, but leading the way is Vincent Abril for the HDP Bentley squad. Second is the Rinaldi Ferrari of Marco Seefried, and then we've got this WRTQ, 5th, 6th and 7th. Now, this is where it gets a bit different, because Robin Freins up behind the 3 car of Stefan Rakelmi, they are championship contenders. The number 3 car, they're not going to move out of the way, and we didn't see James Nash move out of the way.
No, and in fairness to WRT, they run their cars, their 4 cars, in a truly sporting manner.
Yeah.
If this was, say, the last race of the 7 in the championship, and there was points desperately needed for this number 1 car, then that would be a case where you'd introduce potentially a team order to those cars ahead to let number 1 get the maximum number of points. The problem is that points scored here could ultimately lead to you losing the championship. That's the juxtaposition a team has got to manage and to consider. Whether do they let their cars race each other fairly, with the knowledge that maybe the number 1 car doesn't make any further progress and consequently lose position, not so much overall, but in terms of points to the other competitors around them.
Enzo Eid pushing hard. He's the man at the front of this 3-car WRT train. But of course, the other thing they've got to consider is if Eid is slowing down Rakelmi and Freins, then they're losing out, because these 2 could potentially be making more progress.
Yes, and I mean, that's again coming down to the team. They will make a judgment call whether they will do it before the pit stop window opens, which is just going to be a little over in 10 minutes' time, or whether that will be a call that will come from the pits to Enzo Eid and say, look, you're looking at your sector times, your lap times, you're fundamentally slower than the 2 team cars behind you. We need the 2 team cars, especially the number 1 car. There we go, there's Enzo Eid pulls over, and that's the first of the 2 go through. And in fact, it's not. I thought maybe we might have seen also Robin Freins nipping through, but that was a pit lane call clearly, and Enzo Eid followed that instruction dutifully.
Yeah, he did for Stefan Rakelmi anyway. Whether he will do for Robin Freins, we'll wait and see. But it's Vincent Abril leading, 2.7 seconds clear of Marco Seefried in the Ferrari. Third is Valdeno Brito still, but he's dropping back to 6.5 seconds further back at the moment. You can see the standings there at the bottom of the screen. The McLaren just about in the top 10. But it's Robin Freins in the number 1.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're going to see at the end of the pit straight, or end of the main straight up into the final corner, that Robin Freins will do very much what we just seen Stefan Rakelmi do, and that is take a position, and Enzo Eid will, in my view, not offer up any resistance whatsoever, but they want to do it in a way which is seen to be, I suppose, sporting.
Yeah. Down towards turns 10. And there is Laurens Vanthoor, focused, and he was very frustrated after the race 1 incident.
It's not really been his weekend, because he also was responsible for putting the car into the wall on Friday. So, I mean, he's contributed to that particular car's
look,
woes.
here comes Robin Freins trying to go around the outside there as they come out onto the straight, but now surely Enzo Eid will relinquish that position and Freins will cruise past.
I think cruise being a pejorative term, but I mean, in reality, I would imagine Enzo Eid on the inside will have to brake that little bit earlier. And we have actually seen from Enzo, as he comes down into this corner, he tends to have his left foot just hovering over the brake pedal. And Vincent Voss, the team boss of WRT, probably quietly to himself saying, right, well, there's an issue dealt with. Now, can Robin Freins make any further progress and get onto the tail of the sister car of Stefan Rakelmi?
And can they catch in on Marcus Winkelhock, who's running in 4th place at the moment? So A lot of questions to be answered in the remaining 43 minutes. Gap at the front extends by about 0.2 of a second per lap. And there are the fans enjoying the sunshine in the grandstand. And here are our... that's Caca Bueno, isn't it, in the middle there? That outfoxed me for a moment, but that's the back-marking Brazilian BMW that's in there.
Yeah, here the tyre wheel change because of the contact. And in many ways, just thinking about what we had seen a couple of moments ago, in a sense, you had that typical pincer movement, a car on the right-hand side coming across, trapping the Lamborghini up against the Audi. So the three cars, effectively, the BMW and the Lamborghini did have contact, whether that pushed the Lambo into the Enzoid Audi or not. But ultimately, it led to the retirement of the Lamborghini with great disappointment, I have to say, but also to out-of-position cars due to everybody having to scatter to the four corners of the world to avoid contact.
Yeah. It might have been more than 3 wide at that. It looked like it was kind of 4 or 5 wide at the first corner as Abril comes across the line. And what is the advantage now? 3.2 seconds. So another couple of tenths of a second eked out by Vincent Abril. This is a good drive from the man who won the Silver Cup Championship last year with WRT Audi.
He's adapted, I think, extremely well this year to the Bentley. And I know we always look to Maximilian Buch as being the go-to driver, whatever you put him in, but I think Vincent Abril has matched him, and on some occasions maybe outshone him.
Yep, I absolutely agree. And there is Max Buch getting ready. He'll be out in about, well, between 5 and 10 minutes, I imagine they'll come in for their driver change.
In fact, I would say the gap between the first and second is beginning to stretch a little bit. It seems that that 3.9 or so seconds, that as they came across the line, it looks like it might be a little more. And remember, we've got to see Marco Seefried find a way past the BMW. Ought not to be a problem. Being a lap car, it should get out of the way automatically. Doesn't always follow, though.
Now, Robin Freitz has just set the fastest first sector of the race so far, so he's looking pretty quick. Still running down in 6th place for the time being. As the Bentley rounds the penultimate corner and out onto the start straight.
Yeah, I mean, you have to say the car looks totally planted. Again, that's the benefit of leading a race. You're not overusing your car. You're not having to abuse the brakes. You're not having to compromise an entry or the corner itself. So the gap, the camera, the long-range camera, sort of foreshortens the gap as they come into this final turn. So it was 3.9 seconds the previous lap, and let's have a look and see where we are now. Stand factor's reduced, so just goes to show how much visual observations can be wrong.
So there's Max Buch getting his helmet on, former Blancpain Endurance Series champion, and didn't win any titles last year, Maxi Buch. He pretty much won the Blancpain Sprint Series championship with Max Goetz, but it was Goetz who actually won it because Buch had to miss 1 round. A replay of the Porsche.
Yeah, it looked like oh dear me, a little bit of a grass cutting exercise on the inside of the corner. Getting the right front wheel up in the air, and as it makes its way around, the damage to the front will have a little bit of a bearing on the aero on that front part of the car, but ultimately its pace right now not really of any significance.
So there's Marcus Winkelhock in the Phoenix Audi, and then behind him is Stefan Rakelmi. Now, how far back is Rakelmi? About 3 seconds at the moment. So that could be a battle that develops over the course of the race. So there's Winkelhock, and then there's Rakelmi, and then there's Freitz. There's the 77 car.
Which is a lap out of place.
Yeah, well, the 77's in 3rd, so that one's all right. It's the other, it's the zero
car,
BMW that's further up the road there. That's the lap out of place. And then we've got another lapped car in there as well, so nice mixed up front end. It's the ISR Audi that's already been in for a pit stop, because I think that must have got involved in the incident at the start as well, as they get on the brakes down towards the left-hander.
The gap is coming down. There was 0.3 of a second on that last lap. The Ferrari has run the Bentley down. So bit by bit, as we got just 3 minutes before the pit lane open. So Maximilian Buch all ready to go in the Bentley team as we look down to the Brazil BMWs, and they're also now beginning to get ready.
Attila Abreu.
Yeah, he's got to get himself overalls on, and you need to do that, you know, in the calmness
bit of damage to the rear of. Which one is that? That's the Zero?
It's the Zero car. So it's carried. The rear bodywork has been slightly deranged, and don't know where that might have happened. Whether that was must have been in turn 1 as a consequence of the squeeze on the Lamborghini. But that's on the that's the side of the car that came into contact with the Lambo.
So that last lap, the Ferrari of Marco Seefried, who we're on board with here, closed the gap just a little to the Bentley up in front. Marcus Winkelhock is less than a second behind Valdeno Brito in the battle over 3rd place. So that's one to keep an eye on too. Pit stop window is going to open in 2 minutes. And I wonder who we'll see coming in. Probably Raquelme quite quickly to hand over to Stefan Ortelli potentially. Although Raquelme's been quite quick this weekend actually. Normally Ortelli is the stronger of the two, but Raquelme has had an impressive showing so far this weekend.
Yeah, it's just about really adapting to a GT car coming from high downforce single-seaters. Some drivers make that adaptation more quickly than others. As the rest of the field then makes its way into the final turn. So the BMW getting off the line into turn 1, and that's courteous driving and not holding up the Ferrari in any form or manner whatsoever. So enabling Marco Seefried to continue trying to hunt down the Bentley with just 2 minutes or so, 1 minute, 1.5 minutes before pit lane will be open. And I just wonder how early we'll see the Bentley in, because certainly Maximilian Buch was ready to jump into that car at the earliest opportunity. But with the lap times we're seeing from Vincent Abril and the track position he has, there's no urgency for them to make that pit stop.
Stefan Raquelme was the fastest man on the track last time around, and he's pulled away from Robin Freins, his championship leading teammate. But there is our race leader, 84, Vincent Abril. And you can see that he had the measure of Seefried on that last lap, and his best lap is slightly quicker too. So the Bentley's best lap of 38.9. That last lap, Raquelme did a 38.7. So that gives you the kind of idea of how quickly Raquelme's going at the moment.
The difficulty Raquelme's got is he's having to do it in the context of having traffic ahead of him and behind him, whereas the Bentley has always been ahead since this race went green, and therefore he's just driving at his own pace without having any compromises to deal with.
Into the final corner, pit stop window due to open in 10 seconds time. Wonder if any of the guys further back are going to dive in. Doesn't look like it at the moment. Everyone's staying out there. Pit window opens. Yes, in comes the McLaren. So Rob Bell to hand over to Kevin Estre, just to get some clear air, I'd imagine, because it's been a difficult race so far for the McLarens.
I think that they've taken the opportunity. They're not making the progress. So get out of position, make your driver change, put on a fresh set of rubber, and see if Kevin Estre can maybe, with a good pit stop, make something work for him, because they're not going to win the race, that's clear, but what they want to do is try and get as many positions as possible, because that equals points. And also the Nissan of John Walkinshaw driving in the pit lane as well to hand over to Craig Dolby.
Yep, early pit stop for Walkinshaw. As Dolby swaps over, takes out the little insert, and gets in the car. Shame to see them having such a difficult race, as they're out now with a new set of stickers. Goes the McLaren.
Well, that will certainly give it some benefit for maybe 2 laps, 1 lap for sure. And when you put on a new set of sticker tyres, it transforms the car beyond all imagination. But eventually, as we heard from Kevin Estre, they did suffer tyre degradation. We picked that up in the race and saw quite a lot of understeer from the McLaren. Whether they've been able to adjust that out or not for this, it's difficult to tell. Race leaders in, as you say.
So in comes Vincent Abril to hand over to Maximilian Buch. The 3rd place car comes in as well, as does Marcus Winkelhock. Raquelme stays out there. Freins stays out there, but let's see how this pit stop goes for our race leader.
Well, he certainly brought the car in, stopped it on the marks, and very quickly out of the car. The smaller Maximilian Buch in, straps all attached. Now the right side gets done, and this whole choreography of what is the right way to do it. And off the jacks, start the engine, and off you go. So,
As Buki
Maximilian, what's happening?
Stalled it. The race leader finally gets going, but that will cost them a couple of seconds.
That may actually cost them the lead, because the gap before they made the pit stop was certainly just hovering around the high 2 seconds, and he lost the best part of more than that. The engine sort of, it caught, then it sort of stuttered, and then he had to, there's no foot clutch in these cars. You just have to try and...
Well, look at the car that was in third place, about to come out of the pits. Oh, and look at that, Winkelhock's got in front. So Winkelhock comes out in front of the third place 77 Brazil BMW. So great stop from Phoenix. They're up into a net third place now.
Yes, remember, Winkelhock is no driver code change, because Nicky Meyer-Melnoff unfortunately had to return back to his family home. So Marcus Winkelhock doing this race, as he did this morning in the sprint race, all on his own. Now, there's no real advantage, because the time it takes to make a driver change and a tyre change, race leader now in, there's no benefit in terms of time on a driver change. That's all covered by the length of time it takes to do the 4 wheels and tyres.
Yep, same as when we had Alex Zanardi in the series last season. So into the pits comes the 333 Ferrari. Now, if they can do a good job, they could be there or thereabouts with the race leaders. Maximilian Buch now at the wheel.
Do you want, how many rubles do you want to bet that the Ferrari is going to come out in the lead?
300.
Big spender.
So there's...
it's going to be very close.
Traffic as well for Maximilian Buch, flashing the lights to try and get that Porsche of Sergei Chekhanov out of the way.
That's going to... That's going to be a very close call. It's not been a brilliant stop for the Ferrari. There's a problem at the rear. So the car's off the jacks now. Get us fired up. Get it going, Norbert.
Oh, he's done it as well. Seidler's done it as well.
They just try to get it to move too quickly. There is the race leader coming across the line as the second place Ferrari, which may be the third place Ferrari, which may be the fourth place Ferrari before this washes out.
So Buch goes through, and then into second place then is Winkelhock. Into third place is the Brazil BMW, and down to fourth place now is Marco Seefried and Norbert Seidler in their Rinaldi Ferrari. A slow stop and a bit of a stall, and that has gone not well for them. It could be even worse, because we've still got the WRT Audis to pit.
We don't know why the driver change did not look slick. It looked like there's a problem with the belts. They couldn't get the belts either properly attached. I say Marco Seefried, well, he's happy with his drive, but disappointed that the pit stop took so long, taking what was potentially a race lead and dumping him back into fourth place.
Yep. Oh, that is good news, though, for Marcus Winkelhock in the Phoenix Audi. He's up into second place. There he is in the white and red Audi. Third place still then for Valdeno Brito and Attila Abreu. Number 1 car stays out, Robin Freitz. So that means the 3 is in the pits. So Riquelme and Ortelli are swapping over.
And Marcus Winkelhock, a little bit of traffic ahead. The Porsche probably indicating what he's intending to do to give the Audi. Well, it is he's doing it. He's doing it with a, and there is the number 3 car in. So again, slick work from the WRT team, can make up positions on the track. So they will be trying to do the best to get Stefan Ortelli back out, and undoubtedly with one of the BMWs, that's the car that had the original pit stop, so that's Jimenez behind the wheel now.
So here comes the 4th place car, and the number 3 car was in 5th when the pit stops kicked off, and I think it'll be still in 5th place here. Yes, it will. So no places gained for Stefan Ortelli and Stefan Riquelme.
So Stefan Ortelli will have to do a lot of work if he's going to try and run down the Ferrari, currently in 4th place. The Ferrari, I think around here, is the quicker of the 2 cars. Whether Ortelli would agree that he's leveled in Norbert Seidler or not, I don't know. But there is the car, the number 1 car, which should be making its way into the pits. It is now, and it'll be Laurens van Thor, the genius at Audi, behind the wheel. But he's going to need to be a bit more than just a genius if he's going to get any good haul of points.
Yeah, it's going to be a miracle worker as he waits now for the Audi to come crawling down the pit lane. It was 6th position for the number 1 WRT when they came into the pits. So we'll see whether they can resume in. If it all goes well, they could be able to make up a place or two if they have a very slick pit stop.
I mean, it's so well rehearsed by the Audi team. I mean, to do it any quicker than they do it normally. I mean, their best is always just about unbeatable for an Audi, so they're now doing the left side. And once that left rear is on, the jack man will pull the air jack out, and Laurent Vanthor gets a clean getaway. Now that's worth a little bit of time.
So here's the 333 Ferrari coming through. This could be pretty close between the #1 car and the Ferrari as they come out of the pits. There's the Ferrari, and it's in front of the #1 car, but the #1's in front of the 3. So Vanthor emerges in front of Stefano Telli.
And Stefano Telli will be absolutely, I'm not saying what he'll feel about that, but for Laurent Vanthor, that good pit stop, particularly the good clean pit exit, has given him another position in the order, and now he will have his eyes focused on the back of the Ferrari. And if any of the Audi drivers today is going to run down the Ferrari, you've got to think it's the man behind the wheel of #1, Laurens Vanthor. But it's a big ask. 26 minutes of the race remaining. You push really hard on your new tyre, you'll get the initial benefit, but then once the tyre stabilizes, then you're pretty much at the same pace as the Ferrari or those around you.
Race leader is the Bentley. Then in second place is that Audi, Marcus Winkelhock. Third is Attila Abreu. Fourth is the 333 Rinaldi Ferrari. Fifth is Laurens Vanthor in that #1 Audi. Sixth is Stefano Telli. And there is Marco Seefried. Reasonably happy, but I think I've seen him happier. So he now knows that they've dropped down to 5th position.
Yeah, I mean, in fairness, he did his job. He can't complain. He got ahead of cars. So it was just simply there was a disappointing pit stop from the Rinaldi team. They couldn't see whether the problem was on the right, left, or right rear. I think it was on the right, left. And then, of course, it stuttered and stumbled its way from the pit lane again, losing 3 seconds. And those are all the areas you cannot afford to throw away. Time lost like that, you will find extremely difficult to recover back on the racetrack.
Yep, absolutely. So next time around, we'll see how quick Vanthor is going and whether he's closing in the gap to that 333 Ferrari. In turn, is trying to edge in on Valdeno Brito. Sorry, Attila Abreu it is now in the 77 car up in front. 25 minutes to go here in Moscow. And it's Vincent Abril and Maximilian Buch leading the way, looking to take their first main race victory of the season and haul themselves back into championship contention. We go on board now with Marco Seefried. Sorry, Norbert Siedler.
So let's look and see what the Ferrari can do. We've seen it get past the BMWs relatively easily. But again, it's just another distraction for Norbert Siedler to have to contend with, having come away from a really disappointing pit stop and the loss of all those positions when they had the potential to take the lead of this race and, you know, arguably go on and win it. So not really running the BMW down hugely. It's only at the very end of the straight that they catch up. So this BMW in the race, but the other car we believe has actually been retired. The Zero car has gone back in to the garage and its day is over. So Norbert Siedler, he'll have to work hard. The 77 BMW isn't about to give that away easily. It's a good points haul for the team, who have been picking up strong points really throughout this season.
Yep, they'd love to pick up a good result at their home race, the Rinaldi team. And, well, half a second on that last lap, the Ferrari closed the gap in by, so that's pretty impressive stuff. And if they continue that kind of form, they'll be there or thereabouts. And Marcus Winkelhock has just done the fastest first sector of anyone, taking 4/10 out of Max Buch in sector 1 alone. Vanthor has done a 32.1. He took 4/10 out of these two in the first sector as well. So the final 23 minutes could all get a bit closer and closer and begin to concertina up here at Moscow Raceway.
Wouldn't it be an interesting concept, bearing in mind that there was a force majeure situation for the number 6 Audi that Marcus Winkelhock's driving, that a team may concoct another force majeure system to make sure that their so-called star driver actually does the whole race? I mean, I wonder if you could get away with that.
You wouldn't get any points though.
Oh, what? You're right, I forgot about that. The points thing is the thing that would be the kicker, so we'll put a pen through that idea.
But it would be cool to have to watch these guys battle it out all in their own cars. But look how close it is now in the battle for third place. So late on the brakes, the Ferrari swings it out of the final corner, and there's maybe 4 car lengths between them as they come across the line underneath our commentary box into turn 1 once again.
Nothing can be done into turn 1, and really there's only going to be one part of the racetrack other than a mistake from the car that's being hunted down that's going to enable the Ferrari to get through, because it is really so tight all the way through the first really 3/4 of this lap that just hold position, harry the car ahead of you, certainly give the car ahead of you a hard time, put your car in the mirrors of the car, make sure the driver's being distracted and looking backwards and not thinking about what he's doing, looking forward. So it's really now for Norbert Siedler to get a little bit closer, as much as he possibly can, so that when they come to that finals, the 3 final corners on the lap, that's where you're going to be able to try and make your best maneuvers.
And the Ferrari is very good in a straight line. That's worth keeping an eye on too. The 458 exceedingly slippery, and that could be the best opportunity for Norbert Siedler. Throughout this, Laurens Vanthoor's coming too.
Now from this point onwards, you begin to climb back up the hill. This is where the Ferrari needs to be close in contact with the BMW, because it's on this uphill incline that the little bit of additional straight line performance the Ferrari has. But again, the gap, it's still around about a second or so. And maybe on this particular time, the Ferrari didn't get quite such a strong lap. Again, you see as they come under braking, the gap halves as Sergio Jimenez just realizes the BMW is braking earlier, so the Ferrari catches up. And as they come across the line, the gap really pretty much as it's been.
Leading the way is 84 Bentley. That's Max Buch at the wheel. 6 is behind, which is Marcus Winkelhock. In third place is 77, which is the car in front of us here. Attila Abreu at the wheel. Valdeno Brito, his teammate. We're on board with Norbert Siedler in the Rinaldi Ferrari, trying to take third place away. Through the right-hander at 3, up towards the double left at 4. Grab the first apex, grab the second. Ferrari looking quite good on turn in. And the 333 car has just been warned about track limits. So he's got to be careful now, Norbert Siedler.
Yes, it is. And I mean, there are so many areas around the racetrack where there is the potential for abuse of the limits. So he'll get that message from the team. And I would like to know which particular corner, or is it just everywhere around the track? So it's something that you have to take into account and respect that instruction coming from the race director that you are under observation, and if you persist, then you may well find yourself being brought into the headmaster's office. Sadly, corporal punishment doesn't exist anymore.
So less than 20 minutes to go, and this is the battle over third position. The gap at the front is still 2.7 seconds, where Winkelhock's about to come across the line. Has he closed in the gap anymore? We'll keep an eye out for that. But it's very close. It's come down by 1/10 of a second, but it's this third place battle that is really closing in.
Yeah, I mean, everything's being dictated by the pace of the BMW, and that's allowing the cars 4th and 5th and 6th all to basically get closer together. And it was the story almost of the circuit. I mean, if you've got one car ahead of a group of cars, it can keep those cars behind, potentially quicker cars, just simply by making the racetrack so difficult to maneuver around that you're just controlling the pace.
So, third place is Attila Abreu at the moment. Trying to hold on to that position, the man who finished second to Sebastian Vettel in Formula BMW in 2004, ahead of Sebastian Buemi. Finished second in Brazilian stock cars last year to Rubens Barrichello. And he's running second in the championship here.
Now he's got to get closer to the tail of the BMW as best he can, because his chance is going to come up very, very shortly. You can see there is a little bit of tension on the pit wall, and various experts giving their opinion. So it's here up the hill that Ferrari needs It's almost got to throw it an anchor, lock itself onto the back of the BMW, and then use that slingshot to try and get itself into position. But again, this penultimate corner of the BMW is really strong and has managed to consolidate the gap.
Flashing past into the final corner. There's our race leader, Maximilian Buch. He was 2.6 seconds clear. It's now 2.8, so it's gone up just a little bit. Look how close the Ferrari is at the final corner. Across the line, they come absolutely together, just half a second between them still. And all this is allowing Laurens Vanthoor to close in. The gap's come down to 1.7 seconds, where it was just over 2 last time around.
Well, certainly Norbert Siedler is doing all that he can, and I mean, I have to say the Ferrari, as a package, as a chassis, it looks really strong indeed. But ultimately, if he runs too close behind the BMW, then he's going to hurt. The Ferrari temperatures are something that everybody is acutely aware of here. It's warm right now. It's also humid. It's tracks are heated up a lot. You know, the best of your tire is now gone. And what you don't want to do is end up with a car that's either got no traction or no front-end bite. And suddenly, the Ferrari, did it ever run the BMW down there? And that's the slowest part of the track, virtually, as they come down now to the return leg. They're beginning to make their way back bit by bit.
So now it always takes a bit of a shallower line into that left-hander, but now we're down at the bottom of the circuit before we climb back up through the final 2 turns. And again, Ferrari not quite close enough. Norbert Siedler at the wheel, out through the final turn.
It's such small increments that the gap is reducing by, that it's really difficult to see whether with 16 minutes remaining it'll ever be sufficient to enable the Ferrari to mount a really meaningful challenge. It's showing the nose. Right thing to do. Also, it's a bit of more cool air into the radiators, albeit for probably about half a second. But it's indicative that that gap and the challenge is not diminishing.
No, absolutely. Into turn 1, Siedler knows he's got it on the brakes. If he can get even 1 car length closer than he is at the moment, he can probably lunge it on the brakes. But at the moment, he's just not able to get quite close enough. And this is all allowing Laurens Vanthoor to join them.
The Ferrari is quicker pretty much round the lap everywhere you can see. It's just quite simply, it's got a yellow, blue and green BMW on the bit of tarmac that he needs. And if the Ferrari could break free from the BMW, his lap times would reduce probably about half a second or so a lap, and he could clearly break clear of the potential challenge that's behind from Laurens Vanthoor and then the lead, or the second Audi in this race, I should say. Not forgetting Marcus Winkelhock doing a stunning job driving solo both this morning and this afternoon.
Oh, and a spin, and it's Laurens Vanthoor! Laurens Vanthoor, the championship leader, has spun. He's in the gravel. Can he get out of it? It looks like he's managed to keep the momentum going. Is there damage to the car, or has he just lost that all by himself? It seemed as though it was his own doing, but the championship leader sent spinning in Moscow.
Well, that looked to me to be an unforced error from Laurens Vanthoor. Whether something distracted him, whether he just maybe misjudged something, and all of a sudden that shows you how fine the balance is between grip and no grip. So let's have a look again and see. So there's the Ferrari, the Audi's obviously already lost on the entry. The back end had already gone, so the grip at the rear of the Audi suddenly looks from being marginal to no grip, and he's fortunate that he was able to maintain the momentum to drag the car forward and get through the gravel as the Ferrari again right on the rear wing of the BMW.
So Vanthoor was in 5th position. We'll keep an eye out on how many places he's lost, because I think he's only lost 1 place in all of that, because they were so far in front of the rest of the pack. Yeah, he's dropped behind Ortelli, but that's all. So he's down to 6th place now, Laurens Vanthoor, which in the grand scheme of things means he will lose out by some points, but only by 2 points. So it's only a 2-point drop for Vanthoor by losing that 1 place. Obviously, all the points are vital, but could have been a lot worse.
Oh, well, it could have been stuck in the gravel and been out of the race altogether. So, I mean, this has been a weekend to forget for Laurens Vanthoor. He had an accident on Friday when he damaged the car. They never really found the sweet spot of the Audi in qualifying. And, in the actual start position, they were outside of the front row of the grid, and that was, an area where you really need to put your car to be sure that you can get a clean run. And totally unexpectedly, is he human after all? Is this guy, who we think is the nearest thing to a demigod in an Audi, is actually quite human?
Onto the back straight. There's our race leader, Maximilian Buch, on the brakes into turn 1. Then it's Marcus Winkelhock up in second position. Third at the moment is Attila Abreu still, and he's still under pressure from behind in third position, about to pop into shot there, but the Ferrari just can't get close enough heading out onto that back straight. Then in fifth place is Stefan Ortelli, and in sixth is the number 1 championship leading Audi of Laurens van Thor.
Yeah, well, Norbert Siedler's tried everything he knows with the Ferrari, and the defence from the BMW has been absolutely clear, fair, no moves that would be deemed to be, unkind or unfair. So it's just, an immovable object, and find a way. I can't think of another way to get around the BMW other than if you haven't got the grip, which is probably the reason why he can't really get sufficiently close. If he gets under the rear wing of the BMW, he's probably going to start a little bit of an understeer scenario, which he doesn't want to do. That ends up degrading your tyres, so he wants to keep as much front-end bite as he can get. He's conscious of all the temperatures that are so critical in one of these cars, doesn't want to get into a situation where oils and water temperatures are beginning to go off the scale. And still, the BMW has never put a wheel wrong.
No, as the 84 car is leading the way.
And about quarter of a second on lap 27, quarter of a second lap 28. So that's the best part of half a second in 2 laps. And that's nice to have that little bit of consolidation over second place Audi, to know that the threat, and there is the second place car, it's still, it's still not a done deal. 11 minutes of this race remaining. It just goes to show how simple it is for a driver to make an unforced error.
Yep.
Not that Maximilian Buch is under that level of pressure, but nonetheless he could just momentarily have a lapse, run a little bit wide or a bit deep into a corner, get onto the dirty part of the racetrack, and all of a sudden that rhythm and continuity that you've built up is just spinning into the gravel.
Now Stefan Ortelli has caught up to the fight here. He's really closed in on the back of this third place battle, running in fifth place, the Monegasque racer in the number 3 WRT Audi. He was a good way back. He was behind Van Thor, probably 3 or 4 seconds off, and look, he took 0.8 of a second on lap 28, another 0.4 last time through. So Ortelli really starting to come into the fray here.
Well, this is sort of Stefan Ortelli territory, when the odds are stacked against you. First man out of the trenches is Stefan Ortelli.
Up into 7. Then looping around the long left-hander. This is the view back from the 333 Rinaldi Ferrari, watching Stefan Ortelli getting closer and closer. And through the left-hander, really using all of the road and a little bit more at points.
Yeah, of course, when you get the car, get those front wheels, the inside front wheel running over the curbing, and then you get into the grass. I mean, I could do with a razor, the sharp as the front splitter on some of these cars. They really do shave it down, and all part of the game, as long as you're not perceived to be abusing the track limits.
Yeah.
The old mantra that I keep banging on about.
Less than 10 minutes to go here in Moscow. Maximilian Buch leading the way, but this is the battle over third place. Ortelli has dropped back a little bit on that last lap, only by a 10th or 2. But it seems that the Rinaldi Ferrari of Siedler has dropped back a little as well, unless he's just giving himself sort of a bit of a cool down before then attacking once more.
Yeah, I mean, there's a point at which you've got to just give yourself a little bit of a break. And I talk about picking up your momentum again. The Ferrari is capable of lapping, I believe, quicker than the BMW. The difficulty is being able to overtake the BMW. So if you hang in within a second or so of the car that you're challenging, you really get dictated the pace by that car you're challenging. So if you drop back and then try to pick up your momentum and try and pick up that pace, it can revitalize you as much as even revitalizing your car.
8.5 minutes left. Still the view from the rear of that Rinaldi Ferrari. Dropping down through the left-hander. Ortelli chasing him down. Le Mans winner Stefan Ortelli. former FIA GT champion as well in 2013.
He certainly doesn't want to give up the day job.
No.
Does not want to do that.
8 minutes left. First and second coming down into the final corner. Third, fourth and fifth starting to maybe spread out a little bit.
Yeah, there's a bit of a gap you can see now between, well, as you saw in the middle of the straight, when it comes down to this last corner, it all back, yeah, Constantina's back up again. But the reality, I think, is that Norbert Siedler has done all that he possibly can do, and there's not an awful lot left in the tank. And we're not seeing any errors whatsoever from the 77 BMW.
There has been a change further back. Christopher Mies is now in front of Frank Stippler. So they have swapped positions. And there's also this battle between Jules Simkowiak and Kevin Estre.
Not seen much of Kev, have we?
No.
No, normally you see a lot of Kevin. And you're in the McLaren, pretty exciting to watch. But it's not been their weekend either.
9th place at the moment. Good qualifying, started 4th on the grid, but tyres kind of went away in that first race, and a slow pit stop too for the Attempto Racing team. And it's the battle for 9th place. Simkowiak tucked right up behind. Bentley working well here. One leading the races. Oh, very wide there from Kevin Estre. That could allow Simkowiak an opportunity. He's been closing in by a couple of tenths a lap, a second before that.
Yeah, I mean, Kevin's using the racetrack and everything else he can to keep the McLaren ahead of the Bentley. The Bentley clearly is the better handling of the two cars. We know that the McLaren were struggling with tyre degradation, and I suspect that they're not really been able to get a handle on it here this afternoon.
6 minutes to go, looping up through the long right-hander and out onto that back straight once again. Here's 3rd, 4th and 5th. Across the line once more. Not that many laps to go here in Moscow. Round 4 of the Blancpain GT Sprint Series. After this, as far as Blancpain is concerned, it's the Spa 24. And look how close it is through the final corner. Simkowiak almost nudged the back of the McLaren there through the final turn. And as a result, lost a little bit of momentum. But yes, after this is a drive-through penalty for car number 6. Unsafe release.
No.
Marcus Winkelhock from 2nd position has been given a drive-through penalty for an unsafe release. Now, he did come out in front of the 77 Brazilian BMW, so I assume it was for that.
Well, we didn't see that unsafe release. We don't know what it was. But what disappointment, what a great effort by Marcus Winkelhock to do what he's done solo all afternoon, and now he's got the penalty of an unsafe release, which again, you know, when your luck's going, it's going.
Yeah, absolutely. So 5 minutes to go, and this is the battle over 9th position. Look how much grass Kevin Estre is taking as he desperately tries to hold on to those 2 points. Out onto the back, not quite onto the back straight, we're into 12 and 13 now. As John makes his way down to the pit lane to speak to the winning drivers, which will surely be Maximilian Buch and Vincent Abril. 4.5 minutes to go. Can Jules Simkowiak do anything about the man in front of him? Little nose towards the inside. Estre has to defend. Simkowiak has to get out of it in the middle of the corner because Estre really slowed himself down on the apex. Winkelhock hasn't yet served his drive-through penalty, so he's still lapping out there in 2nd position. There he is in the number 6 Phoenix Audi. A real shame for him, because they could have had a strong weekend for he and Nicky Meyer-Melnoff. Even without Meyer-Melnoff, they could have had a strong weekend, but it wouldn't have given them any points. Nicky having to leave this morning after qualifying for family reasons. Out onto the back stretch comes the 6 Phoenix Audi. Will he decide to make his pit stop this time around? Yep, in he comes to serve the drive-through penalty. And, well, it's a shame, isn't it? There's the Phoenix squad. Bitterly disappointed. And there is the drive-through penalty being served by Winkelhock. All the way down, and well, where's that going to bring him out? It might still bring him out in front of Laurens Vanthoor. That's going to be very close as Winkelhock exits the pit lane. Here he comes, and Vanthoor is going to go through. Yes, just about. So that's good news for Vanthoor. A place gained, and he's up into 5th place then. Winkelhock will be somewhat fired up, though, I'd imagine, so we may see him attacking Laurens Vanthoor. These two both in Audis, but they're certainly not teammates. Two minutes to go. And this is the battle over 5th place now. Laurens Vanthoor holding the position at the moment. Winkelhock, multiple Nürburgring 24-hour winner, former F1 racer. Well, did one race for the Spiker team back in 2007. But about to start the final lap is race leader Maximilian Buch. He's just come across the line now, so we're on to the final lap now. As we see this 5th place battle coming down once again. There goes Buch. Now this is the 2nd, 3rd and 4th place squabble. Attila Rebru up into 2nd. So that's going to be good news for their championship chances. They're all going to close in, and a good drive out of the final corner for Markus Winkelhock, closing in on Vanthoor into turn 1. Not close enough there to make a move, nor into 2. Of course, if Winkelhock gets past, then that doesn't really make any difference to Laurens Vanthoor, because Winkelhock won't score any points because he's driving by himself. So if Vanthoor gets past by Winkelhock, it'll literally mean nothing. So it's all for pride out there. We're on the final lap of a long day of racing here in Moscow. Qualifying this morning, both the qualifying race and the main race this afternoon, and this is the 84 HTP Bentley that is looking set to take its first ever victory. Bentley has won before in the Endurance Series with the M Sport team. HTP have won before with Mercedes, but now the pair are going to win for the first time. Down towards the final corner comes Maximilian Buch. He and Vincent Abril are going to take victory in the main race and haul themselves back into championship contention. They win in Moscow. Lights are flashing. 2nd across the line for Attila Rebru. The 77 BMW squad over the moon with that, because that brings them into contention too. Here's the battle for 5th place. Through the final corner, Winkelhock gets a good drive, but it will be Vanthoor who crosses the line in 5th spot. 6th for Winkelhock, 7th for Christopher Mies and Enzo E. There's the Brazilian team, absolutely delighted. As well they might be. And there is the 84 HTP Bentley. Maximilian Buch, his first win in a while. And a Silver Cup victory for the other Bentley as well. Jules Simkowiak and his teammate for this weekend, Max van Splunteren, both winning in the Silver Cup. Pro-Am victory goes the way of Christophe Bouchou once again. Christophe Bouchou and Alexei Karachev. So a win at his home event for Alexei Karachev. But there's the 83 Silver Cup winner. A podium as well for the Ferrari team, so that's really going to tighten up the championship, bring it all a lot closer together. There's the two HTP Bentleys. The race winner, Maximilian Buch, and Vincent Abril. All made really from Vincent Abril's rocket start. Really was an impressive getaway from Abril. Took the lead of the race and consolidated it while all carnage unfolded behind him. There's the winner, Maximilian Buch and Vincent Abril. Buch just going on the grass for a bit of fun. That will certainly bring them into championship contention, no doubt about that. As they make their way down the back straight and back towards the pit lane. A real shame, I think, for Markus Winkelhock that he got driven that drive through penalty. And this is like, it feels like the slowest slowing down lap ever. They're all really cruising their way back towards the pit lane. Into the pits has come the Silver Cup winner. But now here comes our race winner for the HTP Bentley squad. And no doubt all of the HTP crew will be absolutely over the moon. First Blancpain win of the season for Maximilian Buch, and first ever Blancpain victory overall for Vincent Abril. Won the Silver Cup last year, and he's proving that he has got the talent. Abril over the moon. Second place, good drive for the Attila Abreu BMW, but there are our race winners. Vincent Abril and Max Buch. And they are more than satisfied with that one. And there is the Van Splunteren and Simkowiak team as well. A win for them in Silver Cup and a good finish as well. There's Attila Abreu and Valdeno Brito. A second place for them, picking up 18 points, closing in the gap on the championship leaders, Laurens van Thor and Robin Freitz. So let's hear from our race winners, Maximilian Buch and Vincent Abril. Really strong performance. They are talking to John Watson.
Vincent Abril, we're looking for your team. It has gone off to be congratulated. Abril joined like Maximilian, come in here. You know what? You've always got a cheery smile, but it's been lacking a lot this year. Suddenly it's back.
Yeah, because it's amazing to be back on the top step. We struggled a bit at the beginning of the year, especially me, being new in the car, to get familiar with everything. But today was a really perfect day, great day. Great start from Vincent, great pizza from the team, great car today, really perfect car. Yeah, and better than that.
So really you think Vincent did all the hard work, you just had the cruise home then?
I was not cruising because Markus was quite in my back, and I was pushing to not let him close up a bit. And yeah, then I got over radio that he's getting a drive-through, so everything was fine.
Vincent, we saw you split the front row of the grid going to turn one, blinding start. But did you jump those lights or not?
No, Albert took a very good start initially, so I just followed him, and I think he suddenly slowed down quite a lot, so maybe he got a gear shift limiter or something, so I could pull across them, and I was very deep in the brakes, managed to keep it on track. Start was fantastic, the car was absolutely amazing. We didn't have the fastest car this weekend, I think you could see that in qualifying, but I mean, this guy, I'm learning a lot from him, and every day I'm getting quicker.
Just 22.
No, so it's amazing. My first win in the series, and I hope not our last, and it's amazing, amazing, really.
Well done, both of you. Get up there and enjoy it. Look on.
Great stuff from Maximilian Buch and Vincent Abril. Over the moon with that. We've got the Brazilian national anthem on at the moment for the team's mechanics award for the fastest pit stop. So that's why we have the Brazilian national anthem flying around. There they are. And they're over the moon with that one, no doubt. As the rest of the drivers have already made their way up to the podium. And here comes the check for €2,000. I think they'll be reasonably happy with that as well. Another victory for Brazil, even if they couldn't manage to win in the race itself. Oh, and a bit of champagne. Can't beat a little bit of champagne on the top step of the podium. Maybe these are tricky to open. Albert von Turnentaxis struggled earlier on, but now they've got it going. So fantastic weekend for the Brazilians once again after a couple of really difficult years in the championship. It's great to see them having success, regular podiums, and this is another podium for the 77 Attila Abreu, Valdeno Brito BMW. There's the Ferrari squad. Siegfried on the right, Seidler on the left.
I don't know, the BMW hit me alongside in turn 1, and then I came back.
On your right or on your left?
On the left.
They're having a little conversation about the start.
So, and I catch back.
Before they get invited out onto the podium for the trophy presentations. Here's a look at the results after 36 laps of racing. Win for Buch and Bentley and Vincent Abril. 7.5 seconds clear of the BMW Sports Trophy Team Brazil squad in second place. Valdeno Brito and Attila Abreu. Siegfried and Seidler completed the podium. Then fourth down to eighth was Audi's. Raquelme Nortelli, the first of them. Freins and Van Thor losing ground at the top of the championship. Marcus Winkelhock finished sixth despite having a drive-through penalty. Enzo Eid and Christopher Mies in seventh position. Nash and Stippler eighth. Rob Bell and Kevin Estra in ninth place in the McLaren. Max van Splunteren and Jules Simkowiak winning the Silver Cup in 10th place ahead of Walkinshaw and Dolby. Karachev and Christoph Buschu winning the Pro-Am class. 13th in the end was the 71 GT Russian car of Alexei Vasiliev and Marco Asmer. 14th for Mark Trositsky and Nick Hammond. And then good to see the Porsche getting to the end. Ivan Samarin and Sergei Chukhanov. Cacabueno and Sergio Jimenez retired, as did the Marco Bononomi and Felipe Salaquada car, and the Reiter Engineering Lamborghini got out on the first lap. First turn, really, more than anything else, as we get ready for the podium presentation then. And the trophies are ready, the champagne is ready, everybody's ready, so let's go. So, Maximilian Buch and Vincent Abril about to head to the top step of the podium for the first time for Bentley. Commanding drive. Valdeno Brito on the right there. Attila Abreu, the first man out onto the podium. Second place for BMW Team Brazil. Norbert Seidler and Marco Siegfried third. Not looking over the moon. I think they felt that they could have done a little better. And there's Renaud Dufour, the boss of the HTP squad, heading on to the top step. Then the winners in the Silver Cup, another Bentley performance, but now it's the German national anthem. So the top step for Buchan Abril. And out on the podium is Rustem Tergulov, the owner of the Moscow Raceway, to hand the winners' trophies to Maximilian Buch and Vincent Abril. Second place, Valdeno Brito and Attila Abreu. Another strong performance for them. Marco Seefried and Norbert Siedler finishing in third spot, and there's the team's trophy going to Renaud Dufour. Strong performance from HTP today, and hopefully they are now back in title contention as Hugo de Silva, Blancpain event manager, hands over the Blancpain watch. So there are our victors in Moscow. Next up, it's a trip to Portugal in a couple of months' time, but it's Vincent Abril and Max Buch who are the victors. And there's the check being handed out for 30,000 euros for the winning pair. 20,000 for second place and 10,000 for third position. Still Seefried and Siedler not too happy with their third place, and that's great to see, isn't it, to an extent. You always want these guys to be competitive. So now they will pose for some photos, I imagine, before the champagne gets underway again. Vincent Abril's first win in this series. He's been on the podium many times, thanks to winning Silver Cup races last year. But now it's the champagne, and it's Maximilian Buch and Vincent Abril who take the victory. Championship leader Robin Freitz and Laurens van Thor spin down to fifth. And this championship just gets tighter and tighter heading to the next rounds in Portugal. Big old swig for the Bentley boys. Seefried and Siedler still constantly discussing. Look, fascinating to find out what they feel about this race. As Buch and Abril drop their champagne down to the mechanics below. And then make their way off the podium. Can they repeat the feat in Portugal next time out? And the first focus, though, for HTP and Bentley is the Spa 24 hours coming up in just a couple of weeks' time at the Spa-Francorchamps circuit. As the Brazilians also hand down their champagne and make their way off. Oh no, they still... Valdeno hasn't handed his down yet. So let's hear from our second place drivers, Attila Abreu and Valdeno Brito. And let's hear from them.
What a race for you guys. I tell you, under pressure the whole way.
Yes, all the time. We started the first race in 15 position. In the better dreams, we really don't know. We will not imagine that we will finish in second place. So the main race, we started 7. good start to second place. Very good pace with Arthur Abreu. He really did a very good job. So
Attila, just quickly, you had a lot of pressure from the Ferrari. They probably thought you were going to be ahead, but what do you think?
Yeah, he pushed me so hard. He tried to make me a mistake. I was doing a good really pace. I was able to don't make any mistakes and just bring the car to second position. Ferrari is really fast in the straight, but we are able to manage the second. Thank you. Brazil!
So great to hear from our second place Brazilians. And now onto the podium, we're having our Pro-Am winners, Alexei Karachev and Christoph Bouchou. Really good performance from them to win both Pro-Am races here today. And the GT Russian team victorious twice. And the top step for Alexei Karachev, a very popular race around here. He was doing loads of photos out the back and with all the fans. And it's great to see the reception here for them. Then we've got Mark Szulzicki and Nick Hammond, as they are in the Pro-Am class as well. So great performance from Alexei Karachev and Christoph Bouchou, and Alexei Vasiliev finishing in second position. So here's a look at the points. The gap at the top has really come down. Robin Freitz and Laurens Vanthoor, 78 points, but just 15 behind now of Vincent Abril and Maximilian Buch, and a further 4 behind them, so 19 points behind are Attila Abreu and Valdeno Brito. Further down, you've got the likes of Caca Bueno and Sergio Jimenez. Belenestra move up to 9th place, but still not picking up the sort of points haul that they would want. Let's have a look back at the highlights of that thrilling race. So it was the 333 Ferrari that would start second on the grid, but it was Albert von Taxis who was starting on pole position for the main race here in Moscow. The number 1 car had to start all the way down in 16th place with Robin Freitz at the wheel, but that was our pole man, Albert von Taxis. At the race start, it was a rocket ship move from the HDP Bentley. That got into the lead of the race, but Enzo Eid went all over the grass on the inside line, thwacking Albert von Taxis, spinning him around and ultimately sending him into retirement. This was a view from the 84 car, launching into the lead with Vincent Abril at the wheel. And this was the Rinaldi Ferrari having to take evasive action, but still not losing out too badly. The 54 Porsche also ending up in trouble as well. And the 0 BMW was forced out of the race after contact there at turn 1. A real shame for them and Caca Bueno. But the battles were on throughout the field, whilst Vincent Abril began to streak clear up at the front. And Marco Seefried was trying to close in on the 77 BMW, a feat that the Rinaldi Ferrari team would be doing all day, as Max van Spunten and Jules Simkowiak continued to lead the Silver Cup. Pit stops came. Craig Dolby took over from Sean Walkinshaw in the 73 MRS GT Nissan. But then, this moment for Max Buch looked like it might have cost them the race. They stalled on their way out of the pits. The Nissan got away going again, but they finished outside of the points in the end. And, well, just missed it, but that was the moment where Buch stalled the car, lost a lot of time, but fortunately for them, the Rinaldi Ferrari stalled as well, with Marco Seefried at the wheel. Then we had Laurens Vanthoor trying to find his way past Enzo Eid, which he managed to do. The 333 Ferrari was up into 3rd place, closing down on the Brazilian BMW up in front. Robin Freitz then came over in to hand over to Laurens Vanthoor, as Marco Seefried at that point didn't realise that they'd dropped down to 5th place. So now the battle was on between 2nd and 3rd. At the time it was 3rd and 4th, but Marcus Fingelhock was later given a drive-through penalty. Then Laurens Vanthoor spun out of 4th place. He only lost 1 position. It only cost him 2 points, but nevertheless, it wasn't particularly ideal. Vincent Abril was watching on, though, as his teammate Maximilian Buch led the way in car 84, and he took victory. That was him going off the track on the slowing down lap, and he came through to win and move now very close to the top of the championship leaders. So the battle is very much commencing as we go into the final 3 rounds of this Blancpain Sprint Series season. Victory for Max Buch and his teammate Vincent Abril here in Moscow. Make sure you join us for the next sprint race, which is the start of September in Portugal. See you then.